Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Amma ba'd. I want to deal with a very important hadith, one of the more important hadith from the Sunnah of the Nabi al-Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And at the end of the class, I want to take your opinion about moving forward on Sunday, inshallah, because one of the brothers came to me and he gave a suggestion, Ramiz actually. The other day, on Friday night, I think it was, or maybe it was Sunday, we gave the advice, and we mentioned that hadith of Tamim al-Dari, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the deen is al-Naseehah, and he mentioned it 3 times. And he went on to say, it's Naseehah to Allah and to the book of Allah. So 2 of the brothers wanted to know what is that? How can somebody advise Allah? First, we want to make it clear about this hadith concerning the book, the 40 hadith of al-Imam al-Nawawi. It's one of the most important books to have in your library. It's an easily understood book, and the hadith in that book center around the main points of al-Islam. A person grasps the understanding of those ahadith, he will get a good understanding for the most part of and for his religion. So this particular hadith, al-Imam al-Nawawi in Sahih Muslim, he said it's one of the greatest hadith of al-Islam because the religion revolves around it and because of all the benefit that comes from this hadith of al-Naseehah. So first we want to mention that the companion's name is Tamim al-Dari. Kunya is Abu Ruqayya. Tamim ibn Aus al-Dari. He accepted al-Islam in the 9th year of the Hijrah. And he died in the 40th year after the Hijrah. And he was one of those companions from amongst the companions of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa radiyallahu anhum ajma'een, who was a zahid, an abid. We don't say rahib in al-Islam. We don't have rahib. He was a zahid, a person who worshiped Allah a lot, fasting and praying and so forth and so on. He was well known for that. He was also well known for being one of the people who saw the Dajjal. He saw the Dajjal when he was traveling, and the Dajjal was tied up, and he came back and told the Prophet about it, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wa sallam. He's a tremendous companion, Tamim al-Dari, Abu Ruqayya. So the hadith said that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wa sallam said in this hadith, the religion is al-Naseehah, and he mentioned it 3 times. The companion said, al-Naseehah to who? To what, Ya Rasulullah? He said, the religion is Naseehah to Allah, to the book of Allah, to the messenger of Allah, to the leaders of the Muslims, and to the regular Muslims, the A'wam, just the regular Muslims, which we're from them. So this is the hadith. The hadith has a lot of benefits from it, and it has to be understood. I remember, I don't know if this is still the case, but when I became a Muslim in 86, I remember the 40 hadith book of al-Imam al-Nawawi was brown. Top part was beige and the bottom part was brown. And they translated this hadith as, the religion is giving good advice. I don't know if they're still doing that, but that shouldn't be the translation. That's part of a Naseehah, and that's a meaning of a Naseehah. But there's a better translation that we want you to understand. It's part of the most important part of this hadith, An-Naseehah. First of all, he mentioned it 3 times, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for emphasis. And he also made the deen. He said, the deen, the religion, the whole religion is a Naseehah. The whole religion. And the reason why he mentioned that in that way, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they call it al-hasr, where you are where you contain something, al-hasr. You get something and you get it all in one thing. He said the whole religion is an-Naseehah because it's so important. Because the whole religion is not just an-Naseehah. There are other aspects of the religion. But his way of making al-Mubalagha, to make you pay attention. I just had a discussion with the brother just a few minutes ago, and the brother mentioned the ayah of the Quran, وَمَنْ يَقْتُلْ مُؤْمِنًا مُتَعَمِّدًا فَجَزَاؤُهُ جَهَنَّمْ خَالِدًا فِيهَا. Anybody who kills a believer intentionally, he'll be in the hellfire forever. That ayah doesn't mean he's going to be in the hellfire forever. If he's a believer, Allah can forgive him. But he said he's going to be in the hellfire forever for mubalagha, for a zajr, to say this is a big thing. So the same way with this, ad-dinu nasiha. Ad-dinu nasiha. The whole deen is showing the importance, because an-nasiha is the qiwam of the deen and the imad of the deen. The religion of al-Islam is predicated upon this issue of nasiha. Our lives, the deen is an-nasiha. Similar to is what the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for Hajj. What's the most important aspect of Hajj? Arafah. He said, al-Hajj Arafah. Al-Hajj Arafah. So there are things that you do before Arafah, and there are things that you do after Arafah. Arafah is the 9th day. On the 8th, you go to Mina. You pray and you do things in Mina. The next day, you make your way to Arafah. That night, you go to Muzdalifah, and there are things to do after. Big things. So if you perform Arafah at Hajj, you did the Hajj. Even if you miss something before it and you miss things after it unintentionally. You can't just go there and say, I'm going to go Arafah. No, if something happens, you will get the Hajj. But you have to do a fidyah. He said, al-Hajj Arafah. Yarhamakallah. The Arabs say, An-Nas Banu Tamim. Banu Tamim. The people, all of the people are the tribe called Bani Tamim, because the tribe is so popular, so powerful. So that's what that means, that the religion and nasiha in the deen is important. And this is important. And nasiha, it means, and it comes from the word an-nush. An-nush. And that is when you purify something, it becomes pure. Akhlasa. The person nasaha al-asal akhlasuh wa azala minhu al-shawaib. If a person, this word nasiha, nas, and nus, if you take the honey or something, you do a nus, you clean it up from any impurities that are in it. And that's the meaning of nasiha. That's a better translation. That it is an ikhlas. It's sincerity. It's purification. That's a better translation than a nasiha. Now when you say, did you give him nasiha? Yeah, advice. It can mean that in that context. But the word itself is broader than that. The whole religion is al-ikhlas. So if a person says that, and the religion is a nasiha, 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 you can see how the whole religion is having ikhlas to Allah Azza wa Jal. The whole religion is having ikhlas to Allah. And that helps us to understand the meaning of nasiha to Allah. Because no human being can come and say, I want to advise Allah to make it rain today. I want to advise Allah to guide Fulan or Allah. You can't advise Allah with anything. Allah is not asked why he does what he does, but the people are going to be asked why they did what they did. So that's the meaning of an-nasiha. Concerning the issue of an-nasiha and this meaning, a lot of things prove it. It's important. How do we know that an-nasiha means purification and ikhlas? A companion, his name is Jarir ibn Abdullah al-Bajali. May Allah be pleased with him. Tremendous story with this man. He said in the famous hadith, Bay'atu Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam ala iqam as-salah wa ita' az-zakat wa nushi لِكُلِّ Muslim. I gave the bay'ah to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When I gave him the bay'ah, I gave him the pledge that I would pray the prayers, and that I would give the zakat, and that I would have nusх for every Muslim. I would be sincere to every Muslim. It can mean I would give them advice. We're praying, and there are people who don't pray in our masjid. There are people who are new to Islam. They may not know how to pray. They don't do raf' al-yadayn. They don't know you put your feet together, because they may be exposed to other masjids that don't do that. We have to be sincere to those individuals and to each other, and we advise. But an-nusх, it means sincerity. I gave the bay'ah to be sincere to every Muslim. That's one of the things that show. And nusх here means to be sincere, to be far away from like impurities. The ayat of the Quran also shows it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, Laysa ala al-du'afa'i wala ala al-marda wala ala alladhina la yajiduna ma yunfiqun haraj idha nasuhu lillahi wa rasulihi. There is no blame on those people when it comes to jihad and the jihad of Islam, the time, the place, the people, the ahkam, all of that. There is no harm on those who are weak. They old, they're weak, they hurt. Those people who are sick. Those people who don't have any money. They don't have a horse. They barely have clothes. They have no weapons. There's no blame on them if they don't perform jihad, if they don't go out. If they nasuhu lillahi wa rasulihi, if they are sincere, that's their situation, but they wish they can go. That's why the Prophet used to go to the jihad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to tell his companions, verily you people did not climb a mountain or go through a valley or cross any water, except that your brothers back in Medina did the same thing, because they had the Naseehah and the nusх and the ikhlas and the niyyah, that if we could be there, we would have been there. But it was one reason or another they couldn't go. So that's the meaning of an-Naseehah in the deen of Allah Ta'ala. What enters into this, يدخل في هذا, what enters it is a hadith. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه من الخير. It's important. One of the definitions of Naseehah that the ulama gave is إرادة الخير للغير. إرادة الخير للغير. That you desire and you want good for other people. That's Naseehah. Why did you mention that? Did you want good by saying that? Or did you want fitna by saying that? Why did you do that? Did you want good for him? Or you just wanted to put him down? Why did you do that? That's Naseehah. Hadith said, none of you truly believes until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. And the narration says, from the good. One narration said, none of you truly believes you love for your brother what you love for yourself. That's it. Another narration of that hadith, he loves for his brother what he loves for himself from the good. Naseehah, iradatul khair, for somebody else, for the other people. So that's the meaning of an-Naseehah. The great scholar of Islam, and he was the Amir al-Mu'mineen in Hadith, Abdullah ibn Mubarak. I would encourage you, brothers, because his name keeps coming up. Go back and read about the history of Al-Imam Abdullah ibn Mubarak. The dunya has not seen the likes of this man since he died. May Allah be pleased with him. And the companions are greater than him, better than him. But he was Amir al-Mu'mineen in Hadith. His aqeedah was the aqeedah of the Salaf. The man was from those people who made jihad fi sabilillah. He had ibadah. He had zuhd. He was an individual personality on another level. He had his own madhab. And his madhab is argued, is stronger than the four madhahib that still remain. He's a tremendous person. He said about this issue, he said, al-nushu afdal al-ibadah. You know, to have this sincerity. He said the best thing that you can do from the best actions is to be a person who has this nusх, this sincerity, to be pure from like things that bother people that we deal with, jealousy and things like that, all kind of things. Now the explanation of the meaning of the hadith, it's pretty self-explanatory. I think the first part is the most, not trickiest part, but it's the part we have to focus on, that you understand Naseehah is just not advice, is purity. Naseehah to Allah Azza wa Jal, it is having ikhlas to Allah, not making shirk with Allah. Worshipping Allah alone. It is defending Allah, His religion. It's making like Allah far away from things that are inappropriate. Having husn al-dhan billah. She wants to get married. He wants to get married. And things are very, very tough, to the point where the person is kind of like think he's going crazy or she's going crazy, and they give up hope, and other issues start to come into their minds that they have to deal with. He has to have husn al-dhan billah. He's not employed. He lost his job. He's needing money. It's getting crunch time. More and more and more it's getting crunch time. He can't start thinking, I'm going to rob a bank. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do that. He has to have husn al-dhan billah. That's what it means to have Naseehah to Allah Azza wa Jal. To learn about His religion, learn His names, call on Him by His names, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's a lot of stuff, doing what He told us to do to the best of our abilities, and avoiding what He made prohibited upon us. And all of those other things you could possibly think of for yourself. And Naseehah to Allah is making dua to Allah and really feeling that your dua is only for Allah, nobody else. And your salat is for Allah, and your ibadah is for Allah, and your dawah is for Allah. That you make it your business, that the people who you come in contact with, Muslims or non-Muslims, whoever, your family member, you're going to tell people about Allah from this creation. In the masjid, outside of the masjid, you're going to be sure that somewhere or another, you're going to let people know about Allah. Obviously, you got to read the room. You can't be one of those people who is overpowering on people. You're in the line at the Publix and it's your turn. And then you start giving dawah to the cashier and you're holding everybody up and you're saying, I'm giving Naseehah. No, brother, that's not Naseehah right there. That's making life difficult for everybody, and they're going to look at you and say, what kind of religion is this? Well, what is that? But a Naseehah is doing whatever you can do as it relates to worshiping Allah. As for the book of Allah, giving Naseehah to Allah and to His book. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the book before he mentioned himself. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why do you think he didn't say Rasulullah next? Why do you think? Why would he say Allah and then the book of Allah and not Allah and then Rasulullah? Why do you think? Because the Quran is the speech of Allah and the Quran is greater than Rasulullah. The Quran is the kalam of Allah. Rasulullah is from Allah's creation. Is he the greatest of Allah's creation? Salaf used to not like that question. Is he greater than the Arsh? Is he greater than the Kursi? Is he greater than the Jannah? Those questions they didn't like. But he's definitely not greater than the Quran, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Naseehah to the book of Allah is to have the correct tilawah of the Quran. The scholars said there are three types of tilawah. الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابِ يَتْلُونَهُ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ أُولَٰئِكَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِهِ وَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ بِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْخَاسِرُونَ. Those people we gave the book, some of the scholars say it's the people before us. But the strongest opinion is this ummah, because this book abrogated those books. Those people who Allah gave them the Quran, the book, they recited with the true recitation. Thalatha tilawa. First tilawa is the one with your tongue, where we have to learn how to read the Quran to the best of our ability. And the vast majority of us are not Arabs. So there's no excuse even for us, because you still get a double reward for the effort. The Arab should be better because it's his language, but he reads it with his tongue. He has to take some time out to learn the Quran from somebody. Can't learn it from transliteration. Anybody who's learning that Quran from transliteration, you're going to butcher up the Quran because you won't be able to distinguish between the letters. Got to learn how to do the letters. Then even when you do the letters, you learn how to do the letters, the huruf and the letters of the Arabic language are not like our language. That's why you find a lot of people from Pakistan, instead of saying dhalika, dhalika, they'll say zalika, because it's hard on the lisan. You got to learn that stuff. We just do the best that we can. So you read it with your tongue. The second tilawa is with your heart. You read that Quran to understand it. The Quran has deep meaning. The tafsir of the Quran, the meaning of the Quran. And lastly, reading the Quran with the tilawa of your jawari, your limbs. We read the Quran and make halal halal, make haram haram. The awamir of Allah, we do them. The nawahi of Allah, what he said don't do, we stay away from them. So that's the Naseehah to the book of Allah. Reading it correctly, practicing it, spreading it, defending the Quran, making sure that people know what the message is, what the message is not, and all of those other things you want to think about. But it's not giving good advice to the Quran, not advice to the Quran. Who does that? Hand me the Quran, ya akhi, Kenya, because I want to advise the Quran. And I put the Quran in, I advise the Quran. It can't possibly mean that. Nusr, the kitabillah, being sincere, taking it seriously, not making istihza of anything in the Quran. The person who memorizes the Quran, we got to respect the individual. So again, when that Qari comes, inshallah, we got to make dua that Allah opens up the way for the Qari to come in Ramadan, inshallah. Our responsibility, an-nusr lillah, is that we respect that person who has memorized the book of Allah. We go out of our way, not to make a takalluf. We don't go overboard, but we're going to make that person feel our nusr for Allah in his book is to respect the one who is the hamil of the Quran. And that's what the Prophet mentioned, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that anyone who respects the one who memorizes the Quran, the one who doesn't go overboard in it and he's not falling short of it, it is one of the signs of a person having reverence for Allah Azza wa Jalla. The last one that we want to mention here today, inshallah, is a Naseehah for the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, based upon what I've said, a Naseehah to Allah and his message, Allah and his book, we know it doesn't mean that. But coming to Rasulullah, it can mean that. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Naseehah to him means a few things. Two we can say. One, when the people were living with him, they would advise him and give him Naseehah. They have nusah. They're sincere to him. But they can advise him. Allah told him the Quran was shawirhum fil amr. Ask for their point of view, their consultation. They say, Ya Rasulullah, did you stop in this place at the battle of Badr because Allah told you to stop here? He said, no, I just stopped here as a strategy of war. They said, well, we advise you, don't stop here. Let's go further up so we can get the well behind us and they'll be over here. He took that advice. He took the advice of his wife. He told the people, come out of your ihrams. The companions didn't want to do it. Why? Not to disobey him, because they wanted to fight. He said, come out of your ihram. They said, no, they didn't say anything. He went inside the tent of his wife. He was upset. She said, what makes you angry? What's the matter? He said, I told the people to come out of the ihram and they wouldn't listen. She said, take your ihram off and go out to them. When he did that, they took their ihrams off because, listen to this, not possible for a Muslim to be doing something better than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is another issue of innovation. We have to put that innovation aside. Do you think Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forgot to do something and you came up with the idea to do it? Do you think that his companions There was something good. They neglected it and you came up with a good idea. No. When he took that ihram off and they saw the optic and the visual of that, they took those ihrams off. But listen, Umar, because you're new here, don't ever let a person who's a Shiite and they claim that they love Ahlul Bayt, don't ever let someone come to you with these kinds of hadith. This incident is authentic. They disobeyed them. So they take those ayat, whoever disobeys Allah and His Messenger, and they apply those to the companions. The companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he understood what was going on and their mindset. And the mindset was, we've come from Medina to perform Umrah, and these non-Muslims think they're going to stop us. It's not going to happen. That's how they were feeling. The heat of the moment. Not a single one of them was of the opinion, we're not listening to him. Hasha lillah. And those things used to happen as human beings, where they actually became angry for Allah, angry for His Nabi, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's one meaning. Sincerity to him and to actually give him advice. And the other meaning is, like the Quran, having sincerity to His Sunnah, spreading the Sunnah, letting the Sunnah, defending the Sunnah, the people of the Sunnah, not being embarrassed about that, not being afraid of that. Naseehah to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is burying and killing all those weak hadith and not spreading them, but instead teaching people what they are and stopping them from spreading. All of what those scholars did of the tadween of the Sunnah. What is tadween again? Recording. Recording. Better word. You know, when you bring the whole thing, they brought the Sunnah together. I don't know, tadween. Yeah, that's the word. That's the word. Compiling the Sunnah. All of what those ulama of al-hadith done is Naseehah to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The fuqaha of al-Islam and Naseehah to Rasulullah is having the tajreed at-tam to him. That we're going to listen to him over everybody else from Bani Adam. Over the madhab, over the imam, over your opinion, over everything. Your president, your country, the constitution, everything. And if they say to you, do you take Muhammad over all other human beings? We say, Allahumma na'am. We do. We do. And that has a meaning to it. That doesn't mean people should be threatened because in their understanding, they make al-Islam mean something that it's not. So having a nasiha to his religion and to him is clarifying what his religion is and what it isn't. And this is one of the important responsibilities of being upon Salafiyah, that people get an opportunity to see what's correct to the best of our ability without claiming perfection is with the people. Without claiming. Perfection is in the deen and in what the Prophet brought, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam. So we're going to stop here at 11, inshallah. So we'll make the class 45 minutes as opposed to an hour or beyond that. If you brothers have any questions or any comments, ta'liqat, be my guest. If you got any questions, hold up. Umar is a new brother.